Ever feel like you're trapped in a business that no longer lights you up? What if your next breakthrough is just one strategic pivot away? Well, this week I talked to Mike Koenigs and we talked about our next act. And he's worked with a lot of entrepreneurs that are stuck at the end of a career, be it a career or even an entrepreneur. Like even my story for me, engineer, 25 to 30 years, and I'm kind of not interested in it or lost my focus and I have to, what's my next act? And part of it is the impulsive thinker. So that's why I wanted to bring him on. He's got a book called Your Next Big Act, and he helps entrepreneurs figure out their next big act. And he shared with us those things. And I'm very appreciative that he took time out of his busy schedule to talk to us, the next set of who's. And the one thing that he observed with his long jaunt and journey as an entrepreneur is that there's three types of entrepreneurs that need reinvention. And one is founders who lost their identity after selling a business. And I'd like to add a little tweak is even founders who lost their identity with a successful business as well. Entrepreneurs that are stuck with uninspiring clients and stagnant growth, and business leaders who are the best kept secret and they need a platform. So these are the three types of entrepreneurs needing reinvention. And I think he's really right. And with time and his observations, like, because Mike's got a great skill of observation, he created the SEMS framework to finding your next act, as outlined in his book as well. And it's a structured approach to business reinvention. And then for me was not necessarily, the result was a business reinvention for engineering, but it was also a business invention with the impulsive thinker. But I'm starting to see that it's all tied together. But it's a structured approach. And I think for most people, it's very important because it helps us figure out systematically to process this through rather than have random ideas and things not coalescing into something to move forward. And I've had about a 5-6 year period of that as well. Or let's be honest, longer than that, probably up to 10 years. Okay. And the first M is mindset. And the mindset, he really explained, is to understand your core values and to live them. And if that helps build your mindset, because it also keeps track your checks and balances, if the right customers coming in or the certain type of work. Usually an entrepreneur's problem is we got too many opportunities and sometimes we follow those opportunities, but they don't really line up with our core values and that affects our mindsets. Mindset, number one, I think it's very important to understand is to understand your core values and at the same time live them. Number two, market. Who do you want to serve? And you should be very specific on this. You're at a point, if you're looking for your next big act, you're at a point where you got a lot of success, probably some money behind you. You don't have to work with everyone. You're not a scavenging startup. You take everyone. This is your next big act. Who do you want to serve? And be clear who you want to work with and especially who not to work with. Like for me in engineering, I'm only working with entrepreneurial owners, entrepreneurial general contractors, or even other entrepreneurial engineers. Long time ago, I made a decision not to do any residential structural work because I had to train every owner. I would only work residential jobs through trusted contractors who didn't want to cut corners. And that really alleviated a lot of headaches and also gave me more time to make more money. And that money was easier to make when I was dealing with the right people. So this is very important, especially on your next act. Why waste time with people that frustrate you and don't want to grow? The next M is model, and it's to model your brand promise and value exchange. So what business model, this is how I am interpreting it, is what's the business model for your brand to promise and what's the value exchange? What value are you bringing to your potential client? And to understand your brand as well, which has to do with your core values, which is your mindset, understanding your market, and then who are you and how are you going to communicate as well, which is part of the message, which is the next M. Okay, so what is your story? Sorry, the next M is message. So what is your story and communication style? And to be consistent with it. My story is undiagnosed ADHD types, and I'm sharing that with everything right now. I am blunt, direct, no sugarcoating. No extra verbal diarrhea to lose it, to make it more, not grammatical, but dramatic or whatnot. That is my communication style, and this is a story. So my message is to help people understand their uniqueness and provide a vocabulary for them to explain their uniqueness and their talents and strengths, no matter how different we are. So that's the message in this case. And then for the engineering side, my message is I'm tired of the traditions. Let's find people who are non-traditional and let's start solving problems uniquely and differently, and hopefully everyone else can come on board. That's a loosey-goosey message, but in the end, I think you get the point about that. The next M is media. So what channels are you going to use to reach your audience? Okay. So it could be blogs, YouTube, podcasts, website, speaking, being on other people's podcasts. So what channels are you going to use to reach your audience? And if you have everything else ahead of time figured out, the media is now about delivery. Okay. And now the final M is multipliers. What strategies are you going to use to gain attention and trust? And this is what it is. You need to gain the attention. You need to get people's attention, but you've got to build your trust with them, because they ultimately have the choice to pay attention to you, to gift them gift their time to you, to listen to you, build a trust that they can, and that will make you have followers. Okay. And also the strategy to get them into a funnel. How can they come in front of you so you can explain your services and then have them as a client? And those are the 6 M's that Mike explained. And they're very simple, but once you got these things written down, and like I have a brand kit, I have decided and written out who my core values, what market I want to serve, the model, my brand promise, and my value exchange, which is the podcast and also helping entrepreneurs with my courses and coaching services. The message, the story I have, I wrote down exactly what I'm going to share and decide on what my communication style is going to be and stick to it. I've identified my channels: YouTube, podcasts, blogs. I want to get into speaking. Actually, if you know of anyone who wants to have me as a speaker, send me a note. And networking is also sort of media, and getting on other people's podcasts. And my multipliers is kind of my newsletter. Oh yeah, that newsletter would be part of the media. But the newsletter is used as one of my multiplier strategies to get people into the funnel, to start looking at the services I do have, let them know that I got a YouTube channel, let them know I got a podcast, I've been on this podcast, and I've done these speaking arrangements. And that way everyone can, that's gaining attention, and then with time build trust with the people. And the trust part will take time. It's not going to take a couple months. It's going to take a couple of years. So we need to be patient and understand that. And I really like this part of the discussion. Mike's is so true. This was one of my core values. Mike believes that the universe demands constant self-improvement. And I agree with that. In a way, it's continuous personal evolution. It's not self-improvement to make yourself a better person. It's more about refinement. I like to call it self-refinement. And we're always evolving. And if you're a growth mindset person, I don't think you'll ever be happy where you are. You always want to grow, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if we're a growth mindset ADHD entrepreneur, we need to understand what our next act is, and it's crucial for us to maintain our purpose, our passions, and our fulfillment. Because if not, we're miserable, we're upset, we're frustrated, and we're frustrating to other people. So like for me, I was stuck in a business that didn't interest me, and I created a distraction company, and I believe that way for my future. Now I revamped my objective engineering company, and I'm energized again. So my next act in the engineering world was actually reframing objective engineering, but at the same time, creating and starting the Impulsive Thinker to help you, the listener or the viewer, how to understand yourself better and take ownership of who you are, your talents and strengths. So let me know what you think about the 6 M's that Mike explained. Email me at André@theimpulsivethinker.com. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for learning with me, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.